lovies, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, I'm Gina. For those of you who are tuning in again this week, thank you so much for coming back. Obviously I'm filming my intro on Halloween. No, just kidding, I like to dress up. No, it's actually Halloween. So I do this together last minute. Anyway, so today I'm going to do a hack or inspired by a LoveShack fancy sweater. Actually, I've been looking at it on their website. I love it. It was only for the sweater, not for the lace that's coming out of the bottom. I thought it was one piece. I kept searching for it online to see where do they have this, but it was just the sweater. Anyway, we're gonna make the sweater with the lace the way I thought that it was being sold. I thought it was beautiful. I loved it. I got this. So their sweater was, I'll put it down below. I forget how much it was. Anyway, so it was a gray cable knit sweater like this. My dog's going wild outside. You could probably hear him. Anyway, so I thrifted this for $4. I'm going to use this. I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to bring the bottom up more. We're going to put thrifted lace that I got, a curtain. We're going to cut that up. We're going to put it in. You could do this with your sewing machine or you could do it no sew, but it's going to be beautiful. I actually didn't start it yet with this intro. So, let's get started. For this DIY, we're going to need a thrifted gray sweater, scissors, fabric glue, or your sewing machine, and some lace. Okay, let's get started. So here's my thrifted $4 sweater. Perfect. Looks just like the one on the website. And I also thrifted this fabulous, soft and cozy, after washing it, tablecloth. So, first thing we're going to do is get in the camera. I'm going to cut the bottom off here. This band, I'm going to move it up here because it was a crop sweater and this is not a crop sweater. So I'm going to leave a little bit of probably an inch above it so that I have some room to sew and make a seam allowance and not take away from the band. And then I'm going to try it on and I'm going to mark how high to cut this. But don't forget that you're moving the band up. So the band's going to add, what is that? How many inches is that? About 4 inches. So it's going to add 4 inches. So if you put this on and you say, oh yeah, I want to crop to about here, just remember, band's going on it. It's going to come down a little bit. So you could crop it a little more. It's not going to be a tight band, so it's not going to be like a real tight crop shirt. And then we're going to cut this lace. We're going to take the end that has the end that has that's serged, and we're going to cut a nice long piece. We'll see, maybe 8 inches, and we're going to sew that into the bottom of this. You can use Fabri-Tac glue. You do not need to sew this at all for my non-sewing friends. Me personally, I am going to sew it. I'm going to gather it a little bit so it has that little, bulky, fun movement at the bottom. And yes, I'm going to sew it because I don't want to wait for glue to dry. I'm going to do a couple projects today, so I'm going to show you how quick and easy you can do this. Okay, let's get started. So now we're going to cut this off. I'm just lining it up here on my cutting board, on my mat, and we're going to cut the band off. We're going to leave a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Make sure that you have this even, that the front and the back are the same. They're touching each other. They're at the end here. Otherwise, you're going to cut it and it's going to be lopsided.
Whoa.
Now we're going to sew the right sides together of the band and the top. Go to the ends where the seams are, pin those first so that you have everything straight, and then pin along the rest of the band. And then I'm going to go over to my machine and I'm going to sew it. Now that the band is sewn on, I'm just going to press it down and press the seams down with my iron so that it's easier to attach the lace. So now I'm also measuring how long this band is. So we got 10 and 6.5, so we got 16.5 inches times 2 is 33 inches. So the lace needs to be double of this because we're going to gather it. So we need, so this is 30, this is, I said 33 inches, then times that by another 2. So I'm going to need 66 inches of lace. Okay, so after reassessing what I said I was going to do, I am not going to sew the lace to the edge of this. I'm going to sew the lace to my seam. So by doing that, 8 inches, I said, we're going to have to add up whatever it is to that seam. Let's see what we got here. So this ends up being almost 3 inches. So I'm going to cut my lace 8 and 3. I'm going to cut it 11 inches long so that I could sew it along this hem, this seam allowance right here. And I believe that will give it more of a free-flowing look rather than being attached to this. Because that's how it looked in the photo, because there was, I'm assuming it was like a camisole underneath it that had the lace. So because the camisole obviously was not attached to the sweater, it had that beautiful free-flowing look. And I believe if I sew it onto this seam, we're going to get that look. Okay, let's go to it and see how it comes out. I attached the lace to the seam by gathering it and pinning it, and now I'm going to bring it over to my sewing machine and I'm going to attach it to that seam. Now that I have attached the lace, it is definitely too bulky in this area. I'm going to run a top stitch over this area so it flattens out nicely. Oh no! So I kind of screwed this one up because after I did it, it was the band of it. Here we go, band. The band part of it came across the belly area, and it just because it was bulky from the lace and the seams, it made you look like you had a fat belly, and I don't like that feeling. So so it needs to be recut. So here we go. We're going to recut it. So now I'm going to crop this. I'm going to cut off the band again. I'm going to leave that 1/2 inch of sweater fabric there so I can have, I could create a seam. And then I'm going to cut 2.5 inches off of this because when I put it on, I would like it to start the band to come right under my boobs and then the lace to start there. It looks much nicer that way. Now we're going to reattach the band like we did before. We're going to put right sides together and take it over to our sewing machine, and we're just going to sew the band back on. And it looks so much better with the band right under your boobs. It's more flattering. Here I'm lining up the side seams and I'm just going to pin them on both sides, and then I will pin the front and the back and then sew it. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, would you please give me a thumbs up? And if you'd like to see more of these DIYs and these fashion hacks, please consider subscribing to my channel. Also, if you leave a comment and you tell me how you feel about my DIYs and other things you'd like to see me make, it brings my video up the search scale. So the algorithm on YouTube will say, hey, this might be an interesting video. Let's send it to other people. Let's suggest it to other people. So I would love it if you would subscribe, like, leave a comment, and thank you again for watching. Now for the final results.
Never really know what's going on. Look at me sometimes like all you want to do is run. Hear me out, hear me out. If all the things you never show, there are the things I want to know. Secrets start in your heart so slow. But if you don't wanna tell me now, I guess I'll never know. Losing almost all my energy. It's getting hard to talk to you, and I'm the only one who speaks.
Thanks for watching.